November 24th, 1971. The night before Thanksgiving, a man in a business suit boards a commercial flight in Portland, Oregon. He orders a bourbon and soda. He pays cash. He is calm, polite, unremarkable. Halfway through the flight, he hands a note to a flight attendant. The note says he has a bomb. He shows her a briefcase. Inside wires, red cylinders, a battery. He is not panicking. He is not threatening. He is simply in control. He demands $200,000 in cash. 4 parachutes, a refueling stop in Seattle. The airline pays. The FBI scrambles. The passengers are released. And then somewhere over the dark forests of Washington State, DFB, Cooper straps on a parachute, steps to the rear door of the plane, and jumps into the night. He was never seen again. 55 years later, his identity remains unknown. This is America's only unsolved commercial airline hijacking. And in 2026, new FBI files are bringing us closer to the truth hand we have ever been. Let's start with the facts. November 24th, 1971. A man buys a one-way ticket at Portland International Airport. He pays $18.50 in cash. He gives his name as Dan Cooper. That name, DFB, Cooper, came from a mistake. An early news report misidentified him as DFB Cooper instead of Dan Cooper. The wrong name stuck. To this day, nobody knows his real name. The flight is Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. Destination, Seattle. A short hop, 40 minutes. But this man has done his homework. Before buying his ticket, he specifically requested a Boeing 727 because the 727 has a unique rear stair cassette that can be lowered from inside the aircraft while it is still in the air. He already knew exactly how he was getting out. Shortly after takeoff, he passes the note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. She assumes it's a phone number from a lonely businessman and drops it in her purse without reading it. He leans over and quietly says, "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." She reads it. Her hands don't shake. She walks calmly to the cockpit and tells the pilots. The plane lands in Seattle. The FBI surrounds the airport. The passengers are exchanged for the ransom $200,000 in marked $20 bills. The serial numbers all recorded. 4 parachutes are delivered. Cooper examines them carefully. He picks 2 a civilian chest chutney and a military-grade back parachute. He orders the plane to take off again, heading south toward Mexico City. Flying low, slow, gear down. T his specific instruction. He knows exactly what he's doing. At approximately 8:13 p.m. somewhere between Seattle and Reno, the rear staircase lowers. A flight attendant at the back of the plane feels a rush of cold air. And then nothing. DFB. Cooper was gone. What followed was one of the largest manhunts in American history. The U.S. Army deployed hundreds of soldiers to comb the forests of Washington State. The FBI interviewed thousands of people. Hundreds of suspects were investigated. They had almost nothing to go on. The only physical evidence Cooper left behind was a $1.49 clip on tie which he removed before jumping. That tie became one of the most analyzed objects in FBI history. Scientists using powerful microscopes identified over 100,000 microscopic particles in that tie, including rare elements like cerium, strontium sulfide, and titanium. These elements were being used at the TMA, exactly one place. Boeing's experimental supersonic transport program. This suggested DFB. Cooper may have worked for Boeing or had direct access to Boeing's facilities. He clearly had aviation knowledge. He knew the 727F rear staircase. He knew the correct altitude and speed to survive a parachute jump. He knew to request specific gear. The FBI's newly released 2026 Phyllis described his behavior as, and I quote, methodical, and showing extensive flight knowledge. This was not a random act of desperation. This was a planned, professional operation executed by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. But here's what the FBI never found: his body, his parachute, the money. Almost. February 19809, years after the hijacking, a boy named Brian Ingram is on a family picnic on the banks of the Columbia River downstream from Vancouver, Washington. He digs in the sand and pulls out 3 bundles of rotting $20 bills. The serial numbers match. This is D.B. Cooper's ransom money. $5,800 of it partially buried in the riverbank. The discovery raised more questions than it answered. The bills were deteriorating, but they were still bundled. They hadn't been scattered by water, they had been buried. And here is the most chilling detail. One of the bundles was missing 10 bills, which means someone at some point removed exactly 10 bills from that bundle. Scientists later analyzed the sediment around the money and concluded it was buried at least 6 months after the hijacking, possibly much longer. If Cooper had died in the jump blown, of course, into the Columbia River, the money would have scattered. It would not have been bundled. It would not have been buried. Someone put that money in the ground. The FBI's official position is that Cooper probably died in the jump, that the terrain, the weather, the darkness, and the speed of the aircraft made survival extremely unlikely. But the money tells a different story, and the money is the only hard evidence we have. Over 55 years, hundreds of suspects have been investigated. The FBI's newly released 2026 files minus 686 pages of previously classified documents shed new light on the most credible ones. Let's look at the top 3. Suspect 1. Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. In April 1972, just 5 months after Cooper, a man named Richard McCoy hijacked a United Airlines flight using almost identical methods. He demanded $500,000. He parachuted from the rear of a 727. He was caught and convicted. The similarities to the Cooper hijacking were so striking that FBI agent Ralph Himmelsbach was convinced McCoy was Cooper. McCoy was a Vietnam veteran, paratrooper, and Sunday school teacher from Utah. He had the aviation skills. He had the parachute skills. He matched the physical description. McCoy denied being Cooper. He escaped from federal prison in 1974 and was killed in a shootout with FBI agents. He took the truth if he had it to his grave. But in January 2026, McCoy's son and daughter appeared at an aviation safety summit in Orlando with what they claim is their father's parachute from the Cooper hijacking, a harness and canopy discovered on the family property in North Carolina. It has not yet been definitively linked to the crime, but investigators are watching closely. Suspect 2. L.D. Cooper. In 2011, a woman named Marla Cooper contacted the FBI, claiming her uncle L.D. Cooper was D.B. Cooper. She said as a child she overheard her uncleaned his brother planning a hijacking. She said he returned the day after the crime party and injured. She also said he was obsessed with a Belgian comic book whose hero was named Cooper, the exact name the hijacker used. The FBI tested a guitar strap belonging to L.D. Cooper for fingerprints. The results were inconclusive. L.D. Cooper died in 1999. Suspect 3. The unknown professional. The 2026 FBI files reinforce a profile that has always disturbed investigators. D.B. Cooper was methodical. He was calm under pressure. He had specific technical knowledge. He planned meticulously. This was not someone acting on impulse. This was someone trained, possibly military, possibly aviation industry, possibly intelligence. The FBI interviewed hundreds of suspects. None ever definitively matched. Whoever D.B. Cooper was, he was very, very good at not being found. In early 2026, the FBI quietly released 686 previously classified pages from the D.B. Cooper investigation file. These files contain something unexpected. Not a suspect, not a confession, but a portrait of exactly who D.B. Cooper was, built from 55 years of investigation and hundreds of witness interviews. The files describe conflicting witness accounts. Some describe Cooper as dark-haired, others as olive-skinned. Some said he looked Native American, others said he looked Mediterranean. But every single witness agreed on one thing: he was calm, completely, unnervingly calm. Flight attendant Hina Marklow, who spent the most time with Cooper during the hijacking, described him as thoughtful, never cruel, and oddly courteous. He didn't threaten the passengers. He apologized for inconveniencing them. He tipped the flight attendants. He ordered drinks. He ate a meal. He sat quietly for horse, knowing he was about to jump from a moving aircraft and tow a rainstorm over a forest in the dark. The new files also confirm what forensic analysts have suspected for years. The DNA extracted from saliva on his tires never matched any known criminal in the FBI's database. Whoever D.B. Cooper Wash had never been arrested before. He had no criminal record. He wasn't in the system. He was, in every sense he ghost. The question everyone wants answered. Did D.B. Cooper survive the jump? The FBI officially believes he did not. Here's their case. The jump happened at night, in a rainstorm. In near freezing temperatures, over dense, unforgiving terrain. At a speed and altitude that made air-controlled landing extremely difficult. Cooper was wearing a business suit and loafers, not exactly survival gear. The Army searched the jump zone for months. No body. No parachute. No trace. But here's what the survival argument looks like. The money was buried, not scattered. Someone with 10 of those bills was alive at least 6 months after the jump. He knew the terrain of the Pacific Northwest. He knew the jump window, and perhaps most telling, the parachute that Dan Grider, an aviation investigator, believes was used in the Cooper hijacking, was found in 2026 on a family property in North Carolina, still intact. D.B. Cooper has been gone for 55 years. The FBI closed the active investigation in 2016, saying they needed to redirect resources. The case is technically inactive, but it has never been solved. No body. No confirmed identity. No parachute. A tie with 100,000 microscopic clues, and 3 bundles of money buried in the sand of the Columbia River. In 2026, new files, new suspects, new forensic analysis, and a possible parakeeter keeping the case alive. But here's what makes D.B. Cooper different from every other American mystery. People are rooting for him. Polls consistently show that most Americans should Cooper survived, hope he got away. Hope he's sitting somewhere old and quiet with a bourbon and soda, watching the world wonder. Maybe that says something about us. About the part of the American spirit that has always admired the person who looked at an impossible situation and said, I have a plan. I'm HiddenAmericaTV. Did D.B. Cooper survive? Drop your theory in the comments below. I want to know what you think. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next hidden story.